The owner of the Cleveland Browns, Jimmy Haslam, is really impulsive. He drafted Johnny Manziel over better quarterbacks. He drafted Baker Mayfield. He signed Deshaun Watson to a ridiculous guaranteed deal despite all sorts of allegations personally against him. Horrible contract. Probably the league's worst contract. And in a quarterback room with zero star power, except Shedeur Sanders, he's going to get a chance. And I mean, this is a owner. They don't have the Steelers roster or legacy. They're not as well run as Pittsburgh, and they don't have Joe Burrow. So that's the first thing. There's a lot of belief in the NFL that Jimmy Haslam is the reason that of all the teams, Cleveland finally drafted Shedeur Sanders. He is desperate to be recognized and for star power.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Corporate Colin. Of course, Colin Cowherd was going to say this about Shedeur Sanders. It is literally in Colin Cowherd's MO. Anyways, though, this is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Shedeur Sanders getting praised by Colin Cowherd for being a potential savior. The Shedeur Sanders hype train is in full effect. As always, however, Shedeur Sanders still has a long ways to go before earning the starting quarterback job on the Browns. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. Do you agree with Colin Cowherd's take on Shedeur Sanders? I do. I agree with most of what Colin Cowherd is saying. It's true. Jimmy Haslam selected Johnny Manziel in the 2014 NFL Draft. It's true. Jimmy Haslam selected Baker Mayfield with the #1 overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft. It's true. Jimmy Haslam traded for Deshaun Watson and then gave him $230 million fully guaranteed. Jimmy Haslam has made major moves at the quarterback position year after year, time after time, situation after situation, and people believe Jimmy Haslam had nothing to do with the Shedeur Sanders selection. You better believe Jimmy Haslam had everything to do with the Shedeur Sanders selection. We all know Shedeur Sanders is a social media star. Dan Lanning once said they are fighting for clicks. Shedeur Sanders is definitely a click-worthy quarterback. I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is absolute trash, but what I am saying about Shedeur Sanders is he brings eyeballs to the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, the Cleveland Browns coaching staff did not love Shedeur Sanders all that much. If they really liked Shedeur Sanders that much, they would have drafted him in the 3rd round. Instead, they took a quarterback named Dillon Gabriel. Now, me personally, I'm not high on Dillon Gabriel. I see career backup written all over Dillon Gabriel, but that's in terms of best case scenario. The truth of the matter is Dillon Gabriel is probably going to be at the NFL in 5 years. Dillon Gabriel is not an NFL caliber quarterback. However, the Browns spent a 3rd round pick on Dillon Gabriel, so Shedeur Sanders is going to have to be twice as good compared to Dillon Gabriel in order to justify having Shedeur Sanders at the top of the depth chart. I know some Shedeur Sanders fanboys are going to tell me he absolutely deserves to be the day 1 starting quarterback in Cleveland, but I massively disagree with that. Shedeur Sanders could complete 100% of his passes in the preseason, and he will still not be the week 1 starter. You have to look at how the quarterback room is currently viewed at in Cleveland. This is Joe Flacco's job to lose. Joe Flacco is a longtime NFL quarterback. He's been in the NFL since 2008. Obviously, Joe Flacco has experienced a lot of success in the past. The only concern with Joe Flacco right now is that he's getting old with his age, and he can be a little bit of a turnover machine. He's not really mobile in the pocket as well. However, he has experienced success with Kevin Stefanski calling the plays. Kevin Stefanski is the head coach for the Cleveland Browns, so obviously he's going to have some feelings towards Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has got to be the heavy favorite to be the week 1 starter for the Cleveland Browns. So no, Shedeur Sanders is not in the race to be the week 1 starter for the Cleveland Browns. I don't care what Shedeur Sanders does in the preseason. He could have the greatest preseason performances of all time, and he's still not going to be the week 1 starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I also want to show you guys this clip of Colin Cowherd guessing when Shedeur Sanders will get his first start in the NFL. He talked about how the Browns schedule is pretty tough to begin with, and obviously he talked about what the future held for Shedeur Sanders. I found a lot of takes Colin Cowherd spewed out to be rather interesting. Roll the film.
My prediction, you start looking at that schedule between week 7 and 10, Shedeur Sanders is going to get a shot here. Shedeur's on this roster because Jimmy Haslam wanted him on the roster. But I'm going to make a prediction here. Haslam is starving for a star quarterback. He doesn't have the Ravens roster. He doesn't have Burrow. He doesn't have the Steelers brand. It's a weak roster that really, I mean, they're an injury or two away, maybe one injury away from having the weakest wide receiver room in the league. Cross your fingers with Jeudy staying healthy. So this is a team that's going to be boring offensively. You know what will make him not boring? Shedeur Sanders taking snaps, win or lose.
Okay, Colin Cowherd, I get your love for Shedeur Sanders. I remember what you said about Shedeur Sanders before the draft. I remember you begged the Pittsburgh Steelers to trade their entire future for Shedeur Sanders, which of course they did not end up doing, which was the correct decision to make. But I get where Colin Cowherd is coming from for the most part. Colin Cowherd is going full corporate mode by telling everybody that Shedeur Sanders has the potential to start, but he's also stopping himself short of saying that Shedeur Sanders will become the next Tom Brady. I've seen some Shedeur fanboys talk about how Shedeur Sanders is black Joe Burrow, he's black Tom Brady, and I think the hype for Shedeur Sanders is entirely insane. I've also heard a guy talk about how Shedeur Sanders is Lamar Jackson 2.0. I find that take to be rather ridiculous. He's not as athletic as Lamar Jackson. I do think Shedeur Sanders has the capability to be a solid quarterback at the NFL level, but I also believe Shedeur Sanders needs a good offensive line to be successful at the NFL level. Do I believe he can get down the Browns? Probably not. As far as when I see Shedeur Sanders getting his first start in the NFL, I see Shedeur Sanders getting his first start in the NFL when the Browns are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is going to play well in the preseason. He has too much talent to be playing against four stringers. I just don't think Shedeur Sanders has the talent level of a future superstar in the making. Shedeur Sanders has potential to be a successful quarterback, but it's all about, can he get rid of the football quickly? Can he understand how to overcome a bad offensive line? These conditions are more common than what you would think at the NFL level. Shedeur Sanders has a problem with holding the ball too long, and for some quarterbacks that can serve as a detriment to their career. Let's see if Shedeur Sanders can get that problem fixed. I'm excited to see what Shedeur Sanders can do to prove his doubters wrong, but at the same time, I have to understand what Shedeur Sanders is as a player, and quite frankly, Shedeur Sanders doesn't have the traits that would suggest he's a future elite quarterback in the making. Could he be the next Baker Mayfield? Maybe, but that's best case scenario. I think his first start is going to come around week 16 or whenever the Browns are going to be mathematically eliminated from the postseason. I believe the Cleveland Browns are going to be in playoff contention until late in December, and then we'll see a 3-game tryout for Shedeur Sanders. We'll see what happens from there, though. We all know Shedeur Sanders is going to get hyped up a lot. His name is going to generate clicks. Jimmy Haslam had a big role in getting Shedeur Sanders to the Cleveland Browns, but obviously Shedeur Sanders is in a crowded quarterback room. He's in a quarterback room with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and the injured Deshaun Watson. Shedeur Sanders is going to have to be twice as impressive compared to the other quarterbacks in the depth chart in order to receive more playing time. If he can do that, then he's got the capability to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. If not, well, Shedeur Sanders might experience a shorter NFL career than what he would like to have at the NFL level. So that is why I agree with Colin Cowherd's take on Shedeur Sanders, as the Browns quarterback room is unresolved at the current moment. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.